Hello, this is Steven Allen. Yes, we are back with another Batman 66 episode review. And today, we'll be reviewing the episode Batman Displays His Knowledge, which is sadly the last time we'll be seeing Julie Newmar in the role of Catwoman. But before we discuss that a bit more, let's hop in to the video. We recap where we left off Batman and Robin, essentially trapped and tied into a giant coffee cup when the coffee pot will then pour liquid acid onto them, or sulfuric acid onto them, and essentially they will die and be essentially burnt alive. Opening credits, and we get back to where they are. Batman, while tied down, manages to direct where the ropes are with his hand, just lightly, while the little acid pours, melting the ropes. He then quickly gets out his utility belt, or batarang from his utility belt, and manages to turn the switch off. Something I'm noticing with the death traps, like with this one, and even the Riddler one, the Puzzler one, there are many ways they could easily get out of it other than what they were given. But despite that, it is a pretty okay death trap. And I like how Robin left off a line how someone's dreaming up all these scenarios and how they managed to get out, and Batman says that only happens in the movies and TV shows. A nice little fourth wall break that I enjoy a lot. Just as that's happening, we find that Catwoman and her men have robbed the Cat's Eye opals from the jewelers and quickly make off with them. I like the scene. I like Julie Newmar lends her comedic delivery. It's funny as hell. Just as that happened, Batman and Robin, of course, use the Batcave to deduce that would happen. And we also find out that Catwoman is also trying to sell off these stolen jewels. And so she goes to her one of her contacts, Freddie Defense, and tries to sell them off. But here's the thing you need to know about the Cat's Eye opals. They are said to bring bad luck. Something that was explicitly said in the previous video, in the previous episode. But Catwoman doesn't believe it and feels that knowing her and Freddie's past, she could easily sell them off. With that, however, Freddie does not. He knows it's bad luck and no one would buy them considering they're extremely hot. However, she does leave him his address in case he changes his mind, and she and her crew quickly quickly walk off. We then see the scene where Batman is in Commissioner Gordon's office, and there's this apology between him and Captain Courageous, the officer that arrested him. But we also get but he also goes to phone up Alfred for possible associates who could have stolen the item. And who she would sell them off to. Realizing that, we also get the scene where Batman also phones up Gordon phones up Bruce Wayne, and Alfred helps out a bit, and it's funny as hell. You got to see it to believe it. Anyway, but because of Alfred's help, they manage to find Freddie Defense, and they go to essentially talk to him / interrogate him, and we get the scene where Freddie first is offended that Batman thinks he's still in the fencing business and threatens a sword fight, but Batman wins victoriously. And when he realizes he's lost, Batman asks there's Catwoman nearby, and he still denies being a part of the fencing game. But Batman takes it for now, but says but if they find out otherwise, he'll be in serious trouble. We then cut back to Catwoman, who is still having a hard enough time trying to sell off the jewels as no respecting fencer wants to buy them. However, what does end up happening is French Freddy stops by. Not to discuss selling the diamonds, fencing the jewels, but to warn her that Batman is alive and that they could turn the jewels in for a possible reward. And they realize, and he will get at least 1 million, they will get 2. He will be and they're perfectly fine with that arrangement. Freddie then expects the jewels, only to tell her that the jewels are fake and not real. And she is mad as hell and swears to get revenge on Batman. We then cut to Police Commissioner Gordon's office, where the woman who's selling the opals thanks Batman for tipping her off about the whole thing, and that the jewels are safe while Catwoman stole the fake ones. Just as that's happening, one of Catwoman's men turns up with a note, essentially saying a parley for them to meet alone at a neutral place. Batman agrees. He then leaves. Just as that's happening, Batman meets Catwoman at the location, and it's clear, and this the scene where she's clearly flirting with Batman, I'm getting a crack and a laugh out of. And also interesting, the location which they are at for this parlay is clearly the set that was used for Britt Reed's from the Green Hornet show's house. It's clear that, however, it's also clear that things ain't working with the negotiation, so it ends up Catwoman then calls in French Freddy and all the henchmen, and a fight begins to break out, and then Robin appears. Turns out that she's followed Batman, but he's followed Batman knowing that Catwoman was clearly going to set her up. It was clearly Catwoman was having a setup, and a bat fight breaks out. French Freddy and all the men are down, and Catwoman tries to make her escape, but Batman stops her just before she drives away. I love the little scene they have in the car. It's fun as hell, but it also shows a bit in depth to Catwoman's character. We then end the episode with Catwoman being sent back to Gotham Prison with Walton Crichton and Bruce Wayne, and despite Walton Crichton upset that Catwoman was not reformed, Catwoman does tell him that you have reformed some other criminals. I'm the exception, not the rule. And I also like how they point out Bruce's not so good being a parole officer. And my favorite line that Julie Newmar says as the episode ends, Bruce is nice, but my heart will always belong to Batman. And we end the episode there saying that next week we are expecting the first ever superhero crossover when Batman and Robin were going up against the villain Colonel Gum, and they'll need the help of rival heroes, the Green Hornet and Kato. Tune in when we review those episodes. Everything with this is fun. I'm enjoying every minute of it. It's first off, the Walton Crichton bit at the end, we get to see that Alfred helping out is always fun, and Chief O'Hara and Commissioner Gordon bumbling as ever, and a little bit character development between Batman and how he clearly feels for Catwoman. It's fun as always, but of course, we can't keep going without talking about the villain. Julie Newmar is this show's Catwoman, and it's sad to know this will be the last time she will appear on the show. Post this, in Season 3, we get a completely different version of Catwoman, and if you think about it, we won't be seeing Julie Newmar as Catwoman until the animated Batman 66 spin-off movies. Won't be seeing her till then, and that is a long way away. I like how she was quickly ambitious to get this plot into order. However, she clearly wasn't smart enough to set up a fence first. With a career criminal, you think she would have been smart enough to do that, and as a result, her holding these jewels were giving her closer and closer to eventually get apprehended by the authorities. The relationship between her and Batman is really developed, and when she and her final line for me works really well with this character, saying her heart will always belong to Batman. It was clear in Season 2, the development and the romantic between the two, and it makes sense with her final time seeing her. That should be her line, that she clearly loves Batman, and how, even though she doesn't tell that to Batman, I like how Bruce is there and hears it. For me, it's one of my favorite moments of this episode by far, along with and also she gets some help. Freddie Defense is clearly not really meant to be a big Major League villain, but more in the lines of El Delector as being a supporting villain in a very minor role, and he is absolutely fun. Basically, he is a Frenchman who loves defense, and his name, Freddie Defense, first off, means two things. One, he loves defense. The second is that he's an defensor, people who fence off stolen jewelry and and it's a very profitable thing. I love how this minor character, even though he's minor and has very little screen presence, there's a little bit of a character in him. And believe it or not, he is a minor character that, believe it or not, we will see again. He will appear in the very final episode of the series. But that is a long way away, and he's really fun. Batman displays his knowledge is like with Catwoman Goes to College. They're fun two-parters. However, historically, this will be noted as Julie Newmar's last time in the series, and with that, it's kind of sad knowing that this is the last time we'll be seeing her in the suit, as Season 3, the character will become completely different. So with that, it should be noted for being that. And there we have it. Batman displays his knowledge. Join us next time when we review a piece of the action which will be a very unique episode, as it will be Batman and Robin will need the help of some heroes to go up against a brand new villain, Colonel Gum. Want to know more about it? Well, tune in to the next Steven time, the same Steven channel, ladies and gentlemen. So long for now.